everyone! Last week we discussed how you can tell when you're ready to size down when you're waist training and what you can do with your older, bigger corset. But what about when you're trying to choose your next smaller corset? So if you've closed your old corset and you're elated with the brand that you had previously used, then by all means keep ordering from that same brand again, especially if you're ordering custom from the same corseteer. You build a rapport with them, they're familiar with your body already, and they might be able to improve any possible minor fitting issues that you may have had with your previous corsets if you keep going to the same one. So this is the one advantage of practicing brand loyalty. But if you're going with a standard size corset, then just be aware that as you size down, you might have to order a curvier style as you're looking to reduce just your waist, not your underbust and not your pelvic region. So if you're sizing down in your waist, but your natural underbust and hips basically stay the same measurement from when you started, then going with the same off-the-rack style, just a smaller size, it might cause you to experience different things like muffin top or flesh spillover. Your hips might feel pinched, the bones in the back, they might twist and permanently warp, which, by the way, are all the things that I had mentioned in one of my previous videos about corset gaps with respect to this parentheses shaped gap. So that's not fun, it's not the best fit for you, it's not going to be the most comfortable, so where possible, try to find a curvier corset of similar or better quality that fits your budget when you're sizing down. The exception to this is if you are an experienced sewer and you can add gores or hip ties to your corsets, so see my tutorials over there if you are interested in learning how to do this. However, there's one situation that you might be able to stick with the exact same corset brand and style, just a size smaller, and that is if you are losing weight and dropping inches all over. It's in this case that the same corset might fit you just in a smaller size, since your underbust, your waist, and your hip measurements may all be proportionally smaller by the time you're ready to size down. But now let's go into how much you should size down from your previous corset. The amount that you size down depends on your starting numbers. It depends on whether you're on the fluffier side or more muscular, how quickly you're reducing in size, and whether you're combining waist training with any sort of change in your meal plan or your fitness regimen. So some of the reasons that you might want to go down only one size, or the equivalent of 2 inches in the waist, is if you are smaller or more muscular to begin with, if you're training slowly and you're maintaining your weight or body composition as your waist training, and if your corset, when you wear it completely closed, still feels kind of snug but not tight, but you're not able to feel a large space between yourself and the internal wall of the corset. You can't stick your hand down there or anything. On the other hand, some reasons that you might want to go down 2 sizes, or the equivalent of 4 inches, is if you are larger and softer to begin with, perhaps with a natural waist exceeding 40 inches, or you might find yourself just particularly extra compressible. Another reason is if you are actively and steadily losing weight. Note that this doesn't count those who simply have intentions of losing weight and haven't started yet, so commit to it first. And the third reason is if the corset is literally falling off of you. If you can put yourself plus both of your hands inside of your corset, or maybe hide your clutch purse inside of your corset, and that probably means that you are ready to go down more than one size. But remember, it also depends on what you personally feel comfortable with. If you're not comfortable or you don't feel ready to size down by 2 sizes or 1 size or at all, then don't. Nobody is forcing you, remember that. In the case of really rapid and copious amounts of weight loss, if you have limited funds, I would actually advise that you wait until your loss has slowed down, probably to 1 pound a week or less, or your weight has stabilized completely. One reason for this is that it stinks to buy a corset and not have it fit you just a month later, and another reason is that during a process of drastic body transformation, not a lot of people can accurately predict where they're going to lose the next inch on their body. So over the course of 1 month, you might lose inches from your breast or your abdomen, and the next month you might find that your hips and bum are reducing, and these small changes can affect how a corset fits. So obviously it would not be wise to buy a custom corset with a presumption that your measurements are going to be smaller in a certain way or have certain exact proportions if you're not sure that your body's going to go that way in reality. The last thing I want to mention in this video is to once again mind the gap in the back of your corset. So let's say that you've ordered a new smaller size corset and you're trying to determine whether it fits properly and will aid in your process of training down further. Remember that even when you're sticking with the same brand that you trust, just in a new smaller size, you should still keep in mind the shape and the size of the gap in the back of your corset, because just because one particular corset worked out for you the first time doesn't necessarily mean that that same off-the-rack corset is going to work for the next smaller size. So in the last video I had mentioned that a new corset often has a gap of about 2 to 4 inches if it's designed to completely close in the back, or possibly a larger size gap of about 4 to 6 inches if the corset's designed to have a small gap in the back. I know that a lot of people out there, they want to save money and they don't want to keep having to spend money on buying smaller and smaller corsets. So even if they have, say, a 35-inch natural waist, they might be tempted to buy a size 20-inch corset. But sizing down gradually is important for the corset to fit and be comfortable and work properly. If the gap in the back of a corset is too large, so more than 4 to 6 inches while you're gently seasoning it, this obviously depends on how experienced of a trainer you are, in which case, if you're very experienced, you're probably not watching this video anyway. But if the gap is more than 4 to 6 inches, then the corset might be too small for you in general or too advanced for your level. Because remember, even if a custom corset has all the measurements and curves to theoretically fit you perfectly when it's closed, you might not be ready for that kind of reduction from the get-go. You know, you need to train down to it eventually. So why is too large of a gap in the back bad for you, even if it's kept nice and straight and parallel? Well, when the corset's gap is too large in the back, then the hips of the corset are actually angled forward compared to your own hips. It might put uneven pressure on the back of your hip and a little loose pocket in the very front of the hip. Also, your posture won't be fully supported in the back because it's mostly going to be just a span of laces going across the back instead of the intended bones and fabric, which are made to hug you in the back area and curve to your natural spine. So it's not going to fit or feel right for you. So with such a huge gap in the back, you might also feel tempted to lace the corset tighter than your body is ready for because you see that humongous gap, you want to minimize that gap faster, and you might end up hurting yourself or damaging the corset or becoming discouraged by a relative lack of progress, or all three. And if you end up breaking your corset and having to buy a new one to replace it, then your waist training regimen may not end up being any less expensive than if you had just sized down gradually with several different corsets. Remember, when you successively size down just a little bit at a time, you close your older corset and graduate to a new, slightly smaller corset. That old, bigger corset is not necessarily a waste of your money or time. If you own older and bigger corsets and you feel that you're completely done with them, then see my last video on what to do with those old corsets, and I will link that video at the end of this video in the outro. Once again, remember that sizing down is a completely personal choice. You don't have to size down if you don't want to, and as usual, if you have any concerns with the idea of training down in the first place, always talk to a trusted medical professional. I sincerely hope this helps some people determine when it's time to size down and by how much to size down when you're ready. So if you have any other tips and tricks to add to this video, please let me know in a comment down below. Click that like button to help support the channel. Leave me any questions if you have any, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.